GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Montreal. I'm CJ Waterhouse. This hour will break down the new ban on open fires across 6 Quebec regions, hear about the tragic cyclist collision downtown, and note minor traffic delays as well as the opening of M0851's new boutique in the downtown core. Jeff, what do you make of that?
This Friday, Place des Arts Square will host a free outdoor movie night, screening a classic French film starting at 7 p.m. with seating on the lawn.
The event invites families and students, offering complimentary popcorn and local musicians playing soft tunes before the feature, encouraging community gathering under the summer sky.
Organizers note that the projection screen will be set up near the central fountain, and wheelchair-accessible pathways have been arranged to ensure inclusive attendance.
Tickets remain free, and local food trucks will serve vegan and gluten-free options throughout the evening. All right, let's get into it. Let's dive into what's shaping our city today, from the latest developments downtown to the community stories that matter most.
Effective today, the provincial government has issued a blanket prohibition on open fires in forested and adjacent areas across 6 regions of Quebec. The ban applies to Abitibi, Nord du Québec, Saguenay-Mauricie, Capitale-Nationale, and Côte-Nord. Officials say the measure is part of a broader fire prevention strategy aimed at reducing the risk of wildfires during the upcoming summer months. Under the new rules, campfires, charcoal grills, and any other open flame activities are prohibited outside designated fire-safe zones. Enforcement will be carried out by the Provincial Fire Prevention Agency in cooperation with local authorities. Violations may result in fines or other penalties, although specific amounts have not yet been disclosed. Residents and visitors are urged to plan alternative cooking methods and to stay informed through official channels as the fire season approaches. Authorities will monitor compliance throughout the season and issue updates as conditions evolve.
Yesterday, a cyclist traveling east on the bike path that runs alongside Notre Dame Street was struck by 2 vehicles and is now in critical condition, authorities said. Emergency responders arrived at the scene shortly after the collision and transported the injured rider to a nearby hospital for intensive care. Police are investigating how 2 separate cars entered the protected lane, causing the severe impact. The incident adds to a growing number of cyclist vehicle collisions reported on city streets in recent weeks. City officials have previously warned about the need for greater safety measures on shared routes, but no further details have been released about the drivers involved. The investigation remains ongoing, and police are reviewing surveillance footage to determine responsibility. The rider's name has not been released, and no arrests have been made. Transport officials said they will examine the incident as part of a review of bike path enforcement.
Montreal's Van Horn Viaduct encampment will remain in place after a judge ordered a halt to the city's removal plan. The decision, issued on June 9, postpones the dismantling pending a substantive court ruling. City officials had scheduled the clearance of the homeless camp beneath the viaduct and prepared crews and equipment for the operation, citing public safety concerns. The court's intervention now requires a final judgment before any action can proceed. The judge's order does not provide a timeline for the full decision, leaving the removal on hold indefinitely. Authorities have not disclosed when the court will issue its final judgment. Legal representatives for the encampment residents contend that the case must first be resolved by the court. The delay affects both the residents of the encampment and municipal plans for the viaduct area.
Vandalism against the city's public bike share system has surged, pushing damage costs for last year to $1.4 million, BIXI said on Thursday. The operator warned that repeated graffiti, broken locks, and smashed frames are forcing it to rethink the layout of several docking stations. Officials are weighing the option of relocating some points to better lit streets or areas with higher police presence. BIXI estimates the repairs have already strained its maintenance budget and could affect service availability if the trend continues. The city's transit agency is monitoring the situation and will work with the operator on security measures, but no timeline for changes has been set. Daily commuters who depend on the bikes could face longer walks to locate functional docks. The city also intends to allocate resources for surveillance cameras at the most vulnerable stations.
City officials announced yesterday that a number of public fountains across the island have been turned off. The decision, taken by the municipal government on June 9, aims to curb water consumption as part of an ongoing conservation program. Officials said the temporary shutdown will serve as a visible reminder of the need to preserve a limited resource during a period of heightened demand. The move follows recent advisories encouraging residents to limit outdoor watering, fix leaks, and adopt efficient appliances. While the fountains will remain inactive for an undetermined period, the city plans to review usage data before considering any reinstatement. Authorities stress that the action is precautionary, not a response to any immediate shortage, and underscores the municipality's broader strategy to reduce overall water use. City engineers will monitor consumption trends and report findings at the next council meeting.
Up next, we explore how Montreal police are tracking text-based crime recruitment of teens and its impact. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the break. Let's dive into today's headlines, and now Jeff Laflamme will take us to our local stories.
On June 10th, police in Montreal announced that their Aurora unit is actively tracking text-based recruitment of teenagers for criminal activity across the province. Investigators said the team scans social media channels and messaging services where recruiters send invitations to young people, promising quick money or status in exchange for participation in illicit acts. The operation, launched this summer, focuses on patterns that link individual messages to larger criminal networks operating in Quebec. Officers emphasize that the monitoring is preventive, aiming to intercept contacts before any illegal act is carried out. Parents have been urged to talk with their children about unsolicited offers that appear too good to be true. The Aurora team will continue its digital surveillance, adapting its algorithms as recruiters modify their tactics, in order to protect vulnerable youth from being drawn into organized crime.
Rent prices across the city have held steady for the past 2 years, even as developers deliver a record influx of new units. Since 2024, Montreal now boasts the highest count of newly built rental apartments in the province, yet average asking rents have shown little movement. Analysts point to the expanding inventory as a key factor keeping costs flat for tenants searching for a lease. The trend contrasts with expectations that a surge in supply would push rents higher, but recent data shows landlords maintaining comparable rates to previous cycles. For renters, the stability offers a brief reprieve amid ongoing housing challenges, while landlords watch occupancy levels closely to gauge future pricing decisions. The market's equilibrium appears to hinge on whether the current stock can absorb incoming demand without prompting rent hikes.
On the morning of June 9th, Marion Crapeau of Aux Jardins de la Berger set up peach and fig saplings inside an unheated, naturally lit greenhouse on her Lanaudière farm. The experiment aims to see if fruits normally associated with southern Ontario can thrive in Quebec's climate without artificial heating. By using simple sunlight and ambient temperature, the trial tests whether local growers might eventually offer fresh peaches and figs during the summer months, reducing the need for long-distance transport. Successful grocery shelves could feature homegrown stone fruit earlier in the season, giving families a broader selection of fresh produce. The project joins a growing wave of Quebec farmers exploring greenhouse techniques to expand the variety of fruit crops cultivated within the province. Consumers in towns may soon notice the difference, as the greenhouse could supply markets with fruit harvested at peak ripeness rather than relying on imports.
Developers are facing an 11-month average wait for a residential construction permit in Montreal, a timeline that now rivals a year. That delay, officials say, pushes some builders to look beyond the city's borders for new projects. The extended approval process, longer than in many neighboring regions, adds uncertainty to budgeting and scheduling, making it harder to launch housing developments on time. With demand for affordable units rising, the protracted permit period threatens to slow the supply pipeline. Industry insiders report that the lengthy bureaucracy is prompting a shift towards suburbs or other provinces where approvals move faster. City officials acknowledge the issue but have not outlined a concrete plan to shorten the review cycle. In contrast, nearby jurisdictions typically clear permits in 6 months or less. The city's planning department says it is reviewing its procedures, though no timeline has been set.
On June 9th, 12 municipalities across the province, together with 9 environmental organizations, sent a formal letter to the Minister of the Environment demanding immediate measures. The petition cites recent assessments showing that groundwater extraction now exceeds the natural rate of recharge, putting the region's aquifers at risk. Officials warn that continued overpumping could lower water tables, affecting household wells, irrigation for gardens and farms, and the reliability of municipal supplies. The signatories argue that without corrective policies, the supply that residents depend on for drinking, cooking, and cleaning may become compromised. The provincial government has been asked to review current licensing, promote conservation practices, and consider stricter limits on new withdrawals. The appeal underscores growing concerns that current use patterns are unsustainable for the province's long-term water security. The letter notes that provincial extraction now surpasses natural replenishment.
Now let's check in with the weather team for your afternoon outlook across the province. Let's see how the sky will shape your lunch plans and afternoon adventures across Montreal today. On this day in history, Montreal saw its hottest temperature of 30 degrees, set in 2019 during a lingering heat wave that pushed the province into record-breaking summer highs. The coldest reading for June 10 came in 2016, when temperatures slipped to 8.1 degrees as an unusual Arctic air mass drifted southward, surprising residents still in summer clothing. By contrast, the climate normals for today hover around a high of 26 degrees and a low of 15 degrees, giving us a comfortable baseline. At noon, the city enjoys a mild 23 degrees with mainly clear skies and a gentle 6 kilometers per hour breeze from the southeast. Humidity sits near 67%, keeping the air comfortable. The UV index climbs to 7, so a hat and sunscreen are wise for anyone heading outdoors. Temperatures will rise to a high of 30 degrees by mid-afternoon, with clouds gathering to make the sky overcast. By early evening, it will dip to 24 degrees as the sun sets around 8:42 p.m. A yellow watch for severe thunderstorm remains in effect for the island, so stay alert for sudden gusts or heavy rain. That's the outlook as we move toward the 5-day segment. Looking ahead, Thursday brings a comfortable high of 27 degrees and a low of 21, with overcast conditions that keep the sunshine gentle. Friday steps up to a high of 30 degrees, but a 40% chance of rain means you might need an umbrella for afternoon errands. Saturday brightens nicely, offering clear skies and a high of 26 degrees, perfect for a weekend stroll. Sunday cools down to a high of 21 degrees, and light rain with a 45% probability could linger into the evening, so pack a light jacket. Finally, Monday settles at a high of 18 degrees and a low of 13, overcast but dry, giving a calm finish to the week. Stay flexible and enjoy each day as it unfolds. Traffic's only a few minor delays, and we'll preview today's lineup, including the new M0851 Boutique Spotlight plus a quick sports update. We will be right back. Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Today's biggest hiccup is the reduced height clearance in the Louis-Hippolyte LaFontaine tunnel. The restriction, now down to 12 meters, is affecting trucks and buses that exceed the limit, so drivers are being rerouted onto Rue Saint-Laurent and Boulevard Saint-Charles. Expect a few extra minutes if you need to detour, but traffic on the Ville-Marie Expressway and the Descartes corridor remains fluid. Elsewhere, the city's road network is moving at normal pace. Major arteries such as the Autoroute 15 and the Champlain Bridge report no significant slowdowns, so commuters can expect their usual travel times this morning. On the transit side, the SDM strike continues to limit service on several bus routes and the Green Line. Only the core downtown segment runs on a reduced schedule, with alternate routes providing supplemental shuttles. Riders should plan for longer wait times and possible crowding on the remaining trains.
There are no verified listings available for today. And now here's Jason with sports.
A quieter sports board today, with no fresh local team update from RSS. Sportsnet reports that star forward Hilary Knight is set to join the PWHL's new Detroit franchise via sign and trade, involving another prominent women's hockey player. A source familiar with the deal confirmed the move, marking a significant addition for Detroit's inaugural roster. CBC Sports Soccer notes MLS Commissioner's endorsement of renovating Olympic Stadium as a potential winter home for CF Montreal, pending upgrades. With the league shifting to a winter schedule beginning 2027, the stadium's $870 million roof project could make the venue viable for winter matches. On Monday, CBC Sports reported that veteran forward Brendan Gallagher, the longest-serving Montreal Canadian, announced he will move on from the franchise he has known his entire career. The emotional farewell signals the end of an era for the Habs.
M0851, the Montreal design label, has opened its new boutique at the corner of Sainte-Catherine and Crescent in downtown. Known for sleek bags, accessories, leather jackets, and outerwear, the brand brings a minimalist aesthetic and premium materials to the streets. The shop's clean, refined space invites shoppers to step inside the M0851 universe, where every piece feels like a quiet statement of craftsmanship. Its arrival adds a fresh, design-forward destination to the bustling retail corridor, drawing locals and visitors alike and energizing the neighborhood's creative pulse. For Montreal, M0851 is more than a retailer. It's a reminder that thoughtful design can shape the way we move through the city. Later, we'll share a heartwarming story of a Quebec farmer planting peach and fig trees in a Lanadier greenhouse.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From city hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on gmna for the local sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
Celebrating its 30th anniversary, the Montreal Asian International Film Festival rolls out more than 60 Asian art house films and special events right here at Place Ville-Marie, drawing filmmakers, critics, and eager audiences from across the continent to explore stories that bridge tradition and modernity. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing on the glass-covered promenade of Place Ville-Marie, where a sea of umbrellas shades a line of sleek black chairs facing a giant LED screen. The scent of fresh coffee mingles with the faint aroma of street vendor dumplings drifting from a nearby kiosk. Today marks the 30th anniversary of the Montreal Asian International Film Festival. The program runs from May 14th through June 13th, 2026, across venues citywide. The 13th edition rolls out more than 60 art house titles under the banner Tangibility, Soil Body Stories. Filmmakers from Seoul, Delhi, and Tehran chat with curious audiences, their subtitles flickering as the crowd sifts through stories of memory, migration, labor, and identity. In a side room, a workshop invites local teens to edit a short scene, while an exhibition displays grainy portraits of migrant workers on construction sites across the city. For Montreal's immigrant families, the festival is a mirror that reflects their own journeys of memory and labor. Carl Dumont, virtually at Place Ville-Marie.
At the heart of downtown, just beyond the glow of St. Lawrence historic storefronts, the Ville-Marie Tunnel's eastbound ramps have been quietly closed for the weekend. Residents of the neighborhood around Rue de la Cathédrale, the bustling cafes on Rue Notre Dame, and the art studios lining Boulevard Robert Bourassa have taken the change in stride. On Saturday morning, I watched a group of cyclists glide down the newly opened sidewalk that now replaces the ramp entrance, their helmets catching the early sun. A bakery on Rue de la Cathédrale rolled out fresh croissants, and the scent drifted down the tunnel's mouth, drawing a line of commuters who paused, chatted, and shared a bite before heading to work. A local muralist, brush in hand, added a splash of color to the concrete wall that once guided cars, turning it into a community canvas that celebrated the city's resilience. By Sunday evening, the temporary pedestrian pathway had become a mini festival of neighbors greeting one another, children racing to the park, and strangers swapping stories over coffee. It reminded us that when a road closes, the streets can open to something brighter. Montreal's spirit is built on moments like these, where a small change brings us all a little closer.
At the bustling quay of the Old Port, the Montreal Science Centre welcomed its latest attraction on a bright Tuesday morning. Inside the sleek glass pavilion, a modest team of engineers and curators unveiled a virtual reality journey inspired by the series Black Mirror. Visitors were handed lightweight headsets, the soft hiss of the equipment mixing with the murmur of families and school groups eager to test the new exhibit. One vivid moment stood out. A 9-year-old boy, eyes wide behind the lenses, reached out as a digital hummingbird fluttered just beyond his reach, then laughed when the creature dissolved into a cascade of pixelated light. Beside him, his grandmother, who had never used a headset before, whispered a quiet "I'm here," as the scene shifted to a serene, futuristic garden. The juxtaposition of cutting-edge technology with simple human connection captured the center's mission, to make science approachable for every generation. The experience has already drawn more than 100 visitors in its first day, each leaving with a shared sense of wonder. It's a reminder that curiosity still brings us together.
Thanks, Montreal, for joining us on the lunch break. Today's reminder that the Viaduct encampment will stay put a while longer shows how our city balances safety and compassion. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. See you then. Stay tuned for the latest on Montreal's water use and the new greenhouse harvest.